Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first podcast. This was an idea podcast / discussion about The Last of Us Part 2. We were texting each other last night, and we just thought that we have a lot of thoughts on this. And I mean, we've played a lot of games in our time, and I'd say we're pretty experienced, and we have some interesting details and thoughts and on the controversy that is The Last of Us 2. We want to talk about the finer details, what's right, what's wrong with the game, give our thoughts on it, on certain, criticisms that the game's had. And I guess we'll take from there. James, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me, honestly. This is
Yeah.
this is gonna be cool. It's gonna be dope.
This is either going to be weekly or monthly, like I said. This was literally came about last night, and we were just we had to get our thoughts out. So it's a bit rough around the edges, and we'll get that dealt with. I'm looking down right now because I got this notepad with all my notes because I literally have so much to think about that it's I knew I was going to forget stuff. So
I didn't really write full on script notes. It's just sort of general bullet point ideas because I don't really like reading from scripts. I kind of like going off the cuff.
Yeah, me too.
Usually.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's just way nicer. Just feels like it flows more naturally as well.
Yeah,
it's like a robot.
Right. Okay. So I guess we'll start off with the easy. What was your thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2 generally?
Mixed. So mixed. I don't think I've ever felt more mixed about a video game since. I can't even think what made me feel this even this mix before in terms of video game wise.
Yeah.
I don't think it really is a game.
The controversy surrounding it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe
I think
Anthem
the
was
best
a lot more worse
place
than bad,
to start with this game is probably the leak and what happened after that.
Yeah. I think as to the reason the controversy was so inflamed and the hatred for the game for a lot of people was so inflamed by the fact that one of the most critical details of the entire game was leaked before the game even came out.
It's only the first 2 hours of gameplay.
Literally, after just after 2 hours,
but it revealed so much to the point where people were I just don't want to play it now.
Because I think people were oh, I can't wait to see more Joel and stuff like that. It's going to be this incredible story, even better than the first. Peter was very hyped up, wasn't it? But
yeah, because fans were basically speculating for the whole 7-year development, weren't they? If we were going to get a second one.
Yeah, and they were waiting so long to get literally any detail on this game, and literally just dying for information. And then this leak comes out that their favorite character from the series gets killed by this girl with a golf club horrifically, and thing is, when you've got only that one thing to hold on to, you really hyper analyze it. You pick the worst out of it. Then people's vision of the game, your vision going into the game, I think is tainted a bit in that perspective.
Yeah, I will admit, I was nah, I'm not gonna get it after I read that.
Yeah, and I thought the same. I was thinking, oh my god, are you kidding me? That, you can't help it because Joel is such a beloved character.
It's not even just Joel dying. It's the way it happened and the fact that we had to then play as Abby. Everyone was oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And I think people not knowing that happened going in, I'd be very interested to see what the outcome of that would have been. I think it would have pissed a lot of people off.
I still think it would have been the same.
You reckon?
I still think people would have just been because it happens so early on, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
Whether if you know it's going to occur or not, you still would probably think, well, what's the fucking point now then?
Yeah, I think a way they could have alleviated it, was using some of the flashbacks with Joel in. Maybe putting them before he dies, so there's more time with him before he goes, because it does feel a bit abrupt. And
I think that's where the structure of the story then comes into play more than anything, because if you just have that first segment of I guess it's winter, isn't it?
Yeah, it starts with winter, doesn't it?
If you have having that at the start, it kind of just feels really rushed.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, I don't know, it's interesting to see how people kind of, I mean, there's the clip of the guy who literally scissored his CD disc in half. His game disc in half, and that was really funny to watch. And
as soon as you completed it, just cut the thing in half.
Yeah, and you definitely need to go into it with. I think generally your like people's opinion of the game, and I for the most part liked the game, but I do feel the structure of the story is the thing one of the main things that made it suffer a lot more than it needed to, in that regard.
Yeah, I think the ideal structure I would have gone with was, I think a lot of people would have hated it, but Abby's flashbacks first, with the just after the first game, with the Firefly Hospital.
Yeah.
And then it goes into her growing up, so the scenes with Owen and whatever, and then the winter section then, and then you play the Seattle days.
Yeah.
Because all that flashback jumping gets really confusing.
Yeah.
On what time period you're at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and in terms of, I think one of the ways they could have done it, not necessarily the way they had to do it, or need to do it, but like maybe do like Seattle Day 1 as Ellie, then do Seattle Day 1 as Abby, and then so it doesn't like you're not playing as one character for so long.
It kind of breaks up a bit.
Yeah, exactly, because they're so different in their gameplay, Ellie and Abby, that
I feel like Abby's it's so like brute strength, isn't it?
She's way more hardcore than Ellie's kind of sneaking around. So I mean, Ellie could be damn brutal too, but
oh no, yeah, the game is just
I mean, that's a theme from the
fest,
get-go.
it?
Yeah,
it's just violent as hell.
But it's trying to like deliver that sense of like horrific violence and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's one of the things I find interesting in terms of controversy about how violent the game is. There's a lot of games in the past where like games have been excessively violent, but people never really said anything about that. But for some reason, it became a massive focus of this game.
I think the issue with this, you've got a point there, but I think the issue is that this game tries to use it as like a story, like, what's the words, like leverage in a way. They try to use that as like a theme to like go off like, oh, violence is bad, revenge is bad. That isn't. I don't think that is the actual theme of the game wanted to go, but it's kind of what it kind of gets portrayed as, because that's what one is violent. When Joel was interrogating those two guys in the winter section, he stabs him in the fucking knee and starts twisting it.
Pops it off like, oh,
but so both games are violent.
And like there's the bit where Ellie's kind of being followed through the kitchen by that really creepy ass guy by Nolan North.
David.
Yeah, David who's voted by Nolan North.
And then she just starts hacking him.
Like that bit as well. I mean, it's the first game had its issue, but I think it's because the story it didn't use it as a vice to put its plot forward.
Yeah, because
that makes sense.
In part 1, they kind of they take the camera away from those bits, don't they?
Yes,
You don't see it happening, really.
Yeah.
You just know it's happening. Whereas in part 2, it's so
they zoom in on it. like
when you stab that one guy through the neck, I can't remember his name. It's so hard to remember these characters' names in this game. It's when you just get captured, when the horse dies.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember his name. He's one of the more forgettable ones, because he's like, he's in it right at the beginning, and then he dies straight away, so it's like...
You just stab right through the neck, and it really like does like a close up on it. He's just like gurgling, blood's like squirting out. It's like fucking hell.
It's the noises every time you do a stealth kill as Ellie as well, and it's just like
everyone's just like that could be taken out of context so bad. It's so bad, honestly.
Yeah. So another thing that I thought was funny is that people are like, you kind of like disrespected the character of Joel, and you kind of how like Manny is like is Neil Druckmann spitting, pendejo.
That's all he said.
Like actually spitting. I think that's stretching. I think people are just using that to use something else to get at kind of Neil Druckmann for like
the memes behind that are quite funny.
They are. It is funny, but I don't think I think people are stretching a bit with that one, and because
saying Manny's Neil Druckmann.
Yeah, like it's like he's looking at me, he's like, oh, that's me, spit on Jolly like that. So it's like, no, it's like, are you kidding me? And we were talking in our text last night how no one cares more about the characters than Neil Druckmann. They're his characters. Oh, no. He thought them in his own head. And I mean, you look at interviews. I can't remember what the channel was, but there was a interview with Neil Druckmann, Ashley Johnson, and Troy Baker.
Oh yeah, I seen it's like a podcast episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're all talking, and he's talking about that scene and like the leaks for it as well. And he's like, no one cares about these characters more than me. I think that's literally what he says.
Yeah, and I mean, there's literally like they're his baby sort of thing, and those
Joel
characters.
is pretty much his baby, yeah.
And he managed to create one of the most incredible video game characters like ever made in the game in terms of story terms.
He's not even like a complex character, really, is he? But
no, it's just the moral gray area that he has, isn't it? It's like what's like what he was willing to do for the ones he loved in the first one, and how much shit he was like, and how many people he killed to get there, sort of thing. And what was it worth it? And I mean, there's so many different themes, and I think people talk about what is the message, what is the theme of the game, and I think everyone's got their own interpretation, generally speaking.
Oh yeah,
many people say different things, and I never think a game should have like, obviously some games do it more obviously than others, where there's a more clear message, but I think I don't know, this might sound a little bit cheesy and cringe, but I feel like you need to look at it and take away what you want to take, like not what you want to take away, because people will be like, shit, 1 out of 10 game.
How you perceive it.
How you perceive it from your moral point of view. Not only that, but like what you need to find in it. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I'm trying to get at something, but it's...
No, I know you mean.
It's interesting. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Sort of how you like relate to it in a way, kind of. Because I think the biggest thing for like theme, I think, is like leading from 1 to 2 is sort of the idea of dealing with consequences and closure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this is consequence from what Joel did, isn't it?
Yeah.
The perfect way I describe it is Last of Us Part 1 ended on a love note with consequences underneath. Last of Us Part 2 ended on a really bad, a hatred sort of consequence note, but with love underneath.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
I can see that.
Both endings. I actually really like the end of 2.
Yeah, I actually, a lot of people are like, oh my god, she went through all that just to let Abby live. But it's like, she finally got over that, like, kind of hell-bent revenge that she's been on. And that was the moment where she finally realized...
PTSD as well.
Yeah, it's like, she kind of finally realized, is it really seriously that, like, do I need to go through this much to, do it? And
I've lost so much at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, was it worth it in the end? And, and... Again, people, I think, do take things out of context a bit. Like, while much of the criticism for this game is validated, and there is definitely stuff to back it up, I think most certainly with Ellie like being out of character in the game, I don't see it as much as other people. But
I don't think she's exactly out of character. I just think she's grown up.
Yeah, and I think definitely, she's matured, isn't she, sort of thing. But
she's dealing with a lot more, it feels like, in this game. Because, in part 1, it was just about getting across the country to the hospital, and she had Joel with her. But in part 2, it just feels like her world has just been crushed, just like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and definitely, I think in terms of like that, there was just a completely different point of view they're coming from as well, in terms of trying to tell the story.
Yeah,
but it's a real complex one, but because there's
so much to it.
Yeah, the story beats are there to support the things that happen in the game. I don't know, for the most part, I feel like a lot of it makes sense. Like
I think the issue starts to occur with like, I feel like they use a lot of cheap suspense and like shock tactics and like scenes.
In terms of Joel's death, I get it. Like, it's a shitty, gruely world. Like, it's
it's a lawless world.
Lawless world. People will just get killed. If somebody wants to kill you, you'll just die. There's no like heroic kind of like ending to the character.
Morals sort of go out the window when you sort of look at it that way.
And I feel like if we saw what happened, like Abby's flashback as a kid, if that game started with her dad dying, I feel like there'd be a lot more sympathy on Abby's side from that, because
That's why I think the game needed to start with the first flashback of the Firefly Hospital.
Yeah, definitely, because I think people just hang on to the hatred of her killing Joel, and they can't get past it because the developers didn't give him a reason to give her a chance. If that makes sense, everyone just automatically hated it, because they didn't give it the backstory, and nobody knew what
that's why I
that
think if it
backstory
didn't,
was.
where I know I mentioned that if it didn't leak, I still think the outcome would be the same, but I think it wouldn't have been as bad, maybe.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you look at the reviews on Metacritic, and I don't use just people's reviews because there's so many like review bombs, and then
There
people
is
giving
so
it,
many.
there's like
So many zeros.
there's people giving it like 10s and stuff like that, and I definitely don't think it's a 10 for sure. But
There's a lot of blind love and blind hate.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
And if you look at it, the ratio on the positive and negative is equal. It's like funny how almost like dead on even the positive and the negative reviews are, and then there's like a tiny amount in the mixed. It's like, and I think aside from the blind hate and blind love, there's that small percentage of people in there in the negative portion that I believe are right, and the people in the positive portion that I believe are right also.
Who are also right. Yeah.
I think definitely it's mixed for sure.
That's how I feel. It's so mixed for me because the issue I had with Abby is I just didn't really care at first. A lot of the stuff they try to portray as her is like, oh, she's basically Ellie. She collects coins. Oh, look, you can pet the dog as Abby.
Yeah, like
it's definitely quite cheap
forced.
stuff.
It felt forced at moments in terms of trying to like her and trying to like flip the whole thing on its head of like showing the dog that Ellie killed earlier in the game, and they try to make you form a connection with it. That feels really heavy-handed, but
the funniest one is, oh shit, it's Danny.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's like, who the fuck's Danny?
Who the fuck is Danny? Yeah.
Who is Danny? Someone find out who Danny is.
Yeah, literally, somebody find out where did he fit in the Last of Us universe, because we didn't hear shit about him until he died.
His face.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't know who he is.
He's such a non-character. They didn't even bother to create a model for his face. Like nobody cared about Danny. Why was that put in there? But I mean, it had to push the story forward with Owen and whatnot. But regardless,
the other issue I really had with sort of Abby's portion is her like friends. I don't feel the sort of same connection as people Joel and Ellie met in the first game, you know?
Yeah, they didn't feel as as real as the characters from the first one, if that makes sense.
This is where I think maybe they should have done the game a little bit differently, where have the sort of story you want to tell, but just have Ellie as you just have it so you play as Ellie, but then have Abby as like a DLC portion with the build up to the start of like, you know, Seattle Day 1 or whatever, where you can see, you know, this group of friends like growing up and having those different experiences.
That would be interesting, actually. But
I mean, they had 7 years to do it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think in some regards though, this game is definitely like masterclass, leading in its industry in terms of graphics. I think
it's crazy.
The realism. I mean, while a game should never just be reviewed based off its graphics, a game should never be reviewed off any sole thing. But
you look at
you should look at the whole thing. But regardless, the graphics were like, I don't know. I don't think I can't
for a PS4 game.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
For a PS4, I can't
PS4.
think of a game that looks better than the Last of Us 2. Maybe I would think of like 1 or 2, but I don't know. It looked pretty fucking real to me. Like
maybe Red Dead on
Red
PC,
Dead
maybe?
2 on PC on like Ultra with RTX on or something like that. I don't know.
The horse shit effects.
The horse shit effects. The way
and
the
balls
balls shrink in the cold is unrivaled. But regardless,
it's not even just like graphically. It's like animations, voice acting, soundtrack.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole lot.
Voice acting, regardless of what you think of the script, I think the voice acting is top notch.
Oh, even you know, Laura Bailey, who plays Abby.
She plays a lot of characters. She's like the female Troy Baker. Like she just voices loads of characters. It's
literally,
it's awesome to see as well. You know, because she does Kate as well in Gears of War, doesn't she?
I didn't even know that, honestly.
Yeah, she did Kate. She's Kate in Gears of War, which is crazy to think. She's done
even the supporting cast, like Jesse, for what he is. I mean, justice for Jesse, as people were saying. You know, you have Tom returning, who, you know, for what he is, and everyone does a good job.
What did you think? Actually, let's delve into this a bit. What did you think of the side characters that were introduced. 'Cause a lot of people didn't like him, and a lot of people enjoyed him. I'm curious to see where you stand with
What, from both sides, or from like Abby and Ellie's side?
Abby and Ellie, like in general.
Okay,
maybe Ellie's, because you like try to get connected with them more because you're Let's try Ellie's side first.
I really like them a lot. Like, I can see why people have their issues with them, but I really like Dina.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I really like both of them. I like Jesse and Dina, and
Jesse's good. Jesse is really good. Jesse feels like a young Joel, like a really young Joel, just without his sort of grunty sort of bruteness to him.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, I did just genuinely feel like, oh, these are cool people. I would, they seem like, decent human beings, and Dina definitely felt a lot more complex than Jesse did as a character.
Yeah, I feel like that's because she has a relationship with Ellie, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I think because she's directly tied to the main character more so.
I mean, she's with you for a lot, quite a big portion of the game, isn't she? Like in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, and it's funny at the beginning with Dina. Like I thought it was like, I got hints. I don't know why. It didn't like spoil my view like of the beginning or anything like that. But there was a couple of moments where like Ellie and Dina were talking, and like they talk about oh, you kissed Dina last night sort of thing. Like Jesse, I thought it was like going to be a teen drama at the beginning. I was like, what the?
Yeah, because
what
it
is
like
this?
A high school romance.
Yeah,
drama,
literally. It seemed like that, and I was thinking to myself, wait, how long are they going to run with this? But it pretty much went after the first hour. Like you didn't really hear much about it again.
We knew Ellie's sort of position. We knew what Ellie was like because if you played Left Behind DLC, she also had her first love interest in Riley.
Yeah. I never played the DLC of the first one, dude, actually.
It's so good.
I've heard it's amazing. Well,
so basically, you just play as Ellie. When Joel falls on that spike you basically are in the portion where she like leaves him like safe, and you got like you flash back between present day and when you first get bitten.
Right. Okay.
You see it happen.
When she figures out that she's immune.
You don't see the figure of it. You don't see her figure out she's immune, but you see her get bitten. And she's like, oh, and she's like, fuck,
Yeah. Wow, you actually sounded a little bit like Ellie then. What the fuck? That was like really dead. I was dead on. That was.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Oh shit. No, but it's a cute DLC. It's really cute. You have like water gun fights and like you throw bricks through car windows and shit.
Yeah, I know Ashley Johnson got an award for the voice acting or something, didn't she, for the DLC? I'm pretty sure she did.
If she didn't, she fucking deserves one. She's so good at. I generally thought they actually used like a 15-year-old, and so I realized that Ashley Johnson's in like a mid-20s, maybe 30. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's quite impressive.
But back to side characters, yeah. No, I don't know. Dina was kind of. I don't think the dialogue is perfect.
Yeah.
In the whole game between any of the characters. I mean, the parts Joel does speak in, I did quite like. But I think the side characters are pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think they're terrible.
I felt a lot.
They are, but
yeah, a lot of people felt the dialogue between some of the side characters was like a bit, I don't know what the word is.
I thought Ellie's and Jesse's was quite good.
I liked Ellie's and Jesse's, and I liked a lot of the dialogue. I don't know, it felt just like they were real human beings talking about shit in the world. Like they just, I don't know.
How I would react.
Yeah,
it's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's like it feels like it doesn't have to be this like fancy voice acting game talk all the time that has to sweep people off their feet.
Oh no,
they're trying to create this realistic world, and it feels real when they're kind of just chatting about shit in between the shit that happens, the crazy shit that happens, and it's
like the set in a zombie game. It does feel kind of real.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate using the word zombie, but you get what I mean.
And
what's that one pregnant woman called? Not Dina, the other one. I can never remember her name, man.
Mel.
Yeah, I didn't really like Mel.
I didn't.
I don't know. Mel. She came across as like a total bitch at times.
Yeah. She just.
I mean, she's on the front line and she's fucking pregnant. It's like, bro, what are you doing, Isaac? Take her off.
Yeah. Actually, let's get in depth here. What did you think of the Abby Owen sex scene? Have you seen that? I'm assuming you.
Yeah,
of course you have. Yeah, of course you have.
I actually, because I said to you last night, I'm about 75% through. I actually went back. I just thought I'll just go quickly back and complete it because I wanted to actually finish the game off finally, and we'll get onto one of the sections I actually really liked. But Oh man, I just knew it was coming because you go looking for him, don't you? Because he's got rogues. He killed Danny.
Yeah. I'm crazy.
but it felt so forced. It felt so awkward.
Yeah.
Like the way those two are like talking about you love beating Joel, and she's like,
Jesus.
They start to like push each other, and then
that is the one scene in the game that I think it was the most /weirdly written like scenes.
Because you had the Ellie and Dina one, and they just got high and did it, and it felt fine.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that. It felt natural. It felt organic. But then it was like, we're really mad at each other. Now let's fuck. That was Abby's one. It just came out of nowhere.
Even though they're not with each other anymore, it's just like, what the?
And then like they wake up, and then Mel just is fight like they're just hanging around Mel like nothing happened, sort of thing.
It never gets brought up.
I've seen people's like kind of justification for the scene, and not that it needs justification, it's what it is, it's the story, and I'm okay with that, but it's like it's just like how like how they got so much like hatred and frustration that they try to like they let it out all in the moment, sort of thing, and whatnot. But I don't know, I still just he's literally
did it need to happen?
Yeah, he was like it's a weird one because it feels really forced. But then I'm curious to see like how much of the chemistry you'd feel between Owen and
Abby.
They
tried to show us immediately when we were first introduced to Abby in winter, when she's running off with Owen. I could tell that there's like some sort of twang,
Yeah, they hinted at like backstory, behind them.
But then we do see that. That's why I feel like a DLC would have been really good. Well, if they do end up making one, to sort of show those two.
Yeah, it would.
What I really want to know is what happened to Owen's back. That is fucked.
Yeah, that burn. Yeah.
Like, see, that's a perfect opportunity to sort of show some kind of DLC, maybe. But
it'd be cool. I'd actually enjoy a DLC playing as Owen. I'd actually enjoy that. I think.
Owen, or pre-early Abby,
or when they were in the Fireflies or something, doing shit for the Fireflies. That'd be interesting. No. See their perspective. Really would. You see more of Marlene as well, then, or something.
You could have return characters, Marlene. Yeah,
you could.
And the Doctor, who ends up being a dad, who's a key character.
Yeah, something somebody mentioned. I read a while back, and said in a video. I can't quite remember. It was months ago now, but somebody said a DLC because there's a lot of backstory hinted between Tommy and Joel, like being hunters and stuff like that, and like being like basically bandits and being really shitty people early on in the.
Yeah, because
I'd love a DLC where it's Tommy and Joel being just like going through being assholes,
and even Tess.
Yeah, even Tess as well. That it would be so cool to see that side of Joel, and when they were really just worse for wear as people, and they were really in the shit,
surviving.
Yeah, just pure survival. Yeah. That would be. I'd love that.
Yeah, because
then we get more of Joel, what we wanted.
Exactly.
I loved Tommy as a character. So
the voice actor of Tommy is interesting because he's in so much shit as well. He's like he was one of the COD announcers in like one of the COD games as well.
Who was he?
He was. Do you remember COD World War II?
Yeah.
Not World War. He was the Allies announcer in like multiplayer.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
I know, it's crazy. I think he's in one of the other games as well, like Ghost. I think he's in Ghost as well.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the voice announcers for Ghost too. Anyway, but
oh, interesting.
Yeah, when I was playing part 1, I recognized this guy's voice. It wasn't until like he then said a certain line, I was like, oh my god, it's fucking that guy.
Yeah. I think what's interesting as well, one of the other controversy, one of the many, like when the leaks happen, people are like saying, "Oh, Abby, like Joel gets killed by this like roided up tranny or something like that." It's like,
oh my god, yeah.
That's wrong for starters. She's not a transvestite, so like that. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know where that came from either.
Like why? And plus, why is that a vocal point to hate on it? That I don't understand. If
I feel like
it can be forced, and bringing politics into games can be very risky. And there's like CD Projekt Red saying we don't have politics in our game and stuff, and and people just want to play games for the sake of playing games.
I think the hating point came from just them trying to force like sort of the LGBTQ side down of things, maybe.
Yeah. And funny enough, there is a transvestite character in it, Lev, and
oh yeah, Lev, yeah.
I actually Well, you haven't played the whole second half of the game yet, have you?
Well, no, I said I completed. Remember, I said I went back and actually.
You went. Oh yeah, went back and.
I went back last night and just went.
Complete. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because I was so close, actually. I just didn't realize how close I was.
Yeah, and
I
really like Lev as a character.
Lev's a fucking awesome character.
Yeah, she's like one of my favorites, and it's like, and you know, it feels really organic. It doesn't feel forced. It just,
to be fair,
don't know. It made sense.
That Abby and Lev relationship feels a lot like Joe and Ellie, and I actually quite like it a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people did, I think. I think a lot of people started enjoying Abby's side a lot more when Lev came into it, and they started hanging around.
And Yara.
They were both really cool characters, and I did. What did you think of the Seraphites, the Scars? I thought they were badasses.
I thought they were an interesting new enemy type. To be fair. Like
I thought the whistling and stuff like that was so like creepy as hell.
Playing on Survivor, and I can imagine playing on Grounded as well, because Grounded is now, of course, a live update.
Yeah.
If you want to play that, apparently, like on Grounded as well, like enemies are like way more alert to like your stealth kills too, and they can actually like turn around and see you stealth killing someone.
Oh shit!
Can you imagine fighting Scars?
Bro, nah. So
because that one team where they've got the wolf member hanging, they just like gut him.
Oh, they gut him, yeah.
Oh, but they're interesting. Same with the Rattlers. I thought the Rattlers are also interesting.
I wanted to see more of the Rattlers, to be honest. You kind of just turn up as Ellie and kill all of them, but it's like,
I mean, that last
the Rattlers didn't fucking rattle along. Jesus.
I mean, that last fort that you fight them in is an awesome gameplay moment.
Yeah, that is good fun.
You can play that like 100 different ways.
Did you, in terms of the gameplay, did you feel a bit of fatigue playing it? Got a bit repetitive at points?
I mean, you played the whole, what is it, 4 days to Seattle as Ellie? 4 days? How many days is it?
3 days.
Is it about
it's
3 days?
Yeah.
Can you do 3 days as Ellie? And then, of course, you see Jesse getting killed. And then it goes black screen, Abby. And you're like...
Oh, that does kill the moment when it black screens.
You're there like, oh shit, I gotta play even more now. And like your momentum kind of stops because you've got to then walk around and interact with people, and it's like,
and it's like the pace slows right back down to what it was on day one of Ellie, and it's like,
and then you have no pace, and then you're just like, okay.
It gets more interesting when you get in the city and you start fighting the Scars and in that truck scene and stuff like that. That's really fun.
when you like solo Abby is fun, or with like 11 Yara.
Yeah,
it's really fun, especially when it's nighttime and you get captured.
Yeah,
that gameplay bit when you're like holding out.
That is intense.
And it is tense. You've just got your shotgun and then like the hunting pistol. Oh, that is some fun gameplay, I will say. That shit is so fun. Just
I was
one
so
shot.
happy. I only played on normal for the record, but I have completed the game twice. Thank you very much. But because I was only there for the story, really. I didn't really play for the gameplay. But I did definitely feel like the gameplay was like really good. I enjoyed it a lot. And I definitely, towards the right at the end of Ellie's story, like I did feel a little bit like it's a bit repetitive, but
it's the end now kind of thing.
I feel like it's only as repetitive. It depends on the way I feel like if you were to try it for people who are going to be playing the game, actually, well, we spoiled the entire game. I don't know why you'd be listening to this, but
put spoilers at the start.
I will. I'll put it there because I begin saying spoilers. But I definitely think like you need in order to enjoy the longevity of the game in terms of gameplay, you need to kind of mix it up and try new things and try and pull off crazy shit, because that's what I did all the time. Is just try to like pull off crazy things, and I ended up enjoying it a lot more for it, sort of thing. And I was trying to be realistic and trying to recreate what they did a lot in the not the E3 demo. Was it the E3 demo? One of the demos at least.
Might have been. Yeah, I think it was the E3 demo. 2019 one was it, or 2018? Which one was it?
2019, I think.
Because it was the one where it was the Scar section, wasn't it, in the night?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
But I think that's where the accessibility options really help with replayability. You know, the different like adjustments of difficulty.
Yeah, well, that's one of the great features of it. Is just so fine-tuning.
So good. You can just whack everything up to Survivor and then whack the resources down to very light, and you can just have so much ammo, but have it difficult in that way.
That's actually something I did. I put the resources to hard, and I put the enemies to hard or something like, or the detection rate.
Because you can adjust like detection rates like stealth and
yeah.
damage.
I mean, there's a
it's
lot.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I definitely, and there's New Game Plus as well, which kind of be interesting to look at the beginning of the game with all your shit, which would be funny too.
Well, actually, in Last of Us Part 1, New Game Plus, you collect the guns again as you go along, but you still have all the upgrades, if you get what I mean. So you'd start...
I'm not sure if it's the same in Last of Us 2 or not.
I think it might be. I haven't played New Game Plus, but I think you'd start, as just with the hunting rifle, and then you can go and get the shotgun if you want to, So I like that bit. It's actually really fun. The sort of Seattle Day 1 open world bit. I actually really like that.
Yeah. I find it pretty incredible that you can actually miss some of the weapons. You can walk straight past them and not pick them up. That's crazy to me.
You can just play the game as pistol only.
Literally, and like
I'm sure Mitten's squad would do that probably.
I'm not sure if it was him, but Tio. I'm pretty sure he missed the hunting pistol. I don't think he ever got it, or he picked it up later on for like somehow. I can't quite remember. I think he missed it though, or someone did. I watched.
It is easy to miss.
Yeah, because it's in a safe. You need to know the code for it.
No, the hunting pistol's just on the side.
Is it? I thought it was in the safe.
I think it's just on the side in the garage.
Okay, right.
But the shotgun you can really miss. It's like in that after you just leave Manny, it's in that sort of like little downtown alley store area, and you can go like upstairs on the other side. You got the shotgun, I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah. I think I got all the weapons.
Yeah.
I don't think I missed one.
But yeah, that is easy to miss as well.
The
crossbow isn't hard to. The crossbow isn't easy to miss. The crossbow's right there.
Yeah, it's right there as you walk past. Yeah, and do you feel that the game was too long as a whole? Like,
I hate that argument, man. Do you know, it's a game. I get what I paid for.
Yeah, I never complain about longer games.
No, I want the game to last.
And I didn't feel like the gameplay was like. It didn't get boring for me, really. I just kept enjoying it, and I can
see why few people feel bloated playing it.
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels like a really long movie, maybe. Because it's a lot of heavy dialogue and cutscenes.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
It's a game. You want it to not be really short. Like it was now, of course, never going to be 4-6 hours long, but because Last of Us 1 is what 12, 14 hours in game.
Yeah, I think it's 12, 14 hours.
If you're really taking your time to try and collect collectibles as well, I did that a lot. I was trying to look for everything on my playthrough.
Yeah,
like the coins, the superhero cards. Neil Druckmann's on one of them. That's quite funny.
Is it? Oh yeah.
He's like the Dr. Egg kind of one.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I thought that was quite cool.
And one of the main things I disliked about is the people just blanket statementing the game as well quite a bit, in terms of just saying like giving it a 1 on a review and stuff like that. And I mean it happens. Yeah. It happens with every game that has controversy. But
just any game.
It still annoys me. I think
some people are just like Zero is fucking shit.
Literally, and that's it. Well, I was looking at reviews earlier, and there was like it was a review that gave it like a 1 or something like that, and it says like, oh, story's a complete shamble, how they normally go, like, oh, this is shit, and there's I'll give the gameplay a 6 out of 10, but the review as a whole was like, and the graphics are like the best, but the whole review was like a 1. I was like, come on, like.
I tried to, with my rating, try to put all of it into 1, because it's an all-in package, one game,
Well, it's like, I'm gonna review Doom, but I'm only gonna review it on its graphics, not its gameplay. Like that's like basically what you're doing at that point.
If you try to review Doom on its story, it's a 1 out of 10. Doom has no real good story, let's be honest.
I enjoyed Doom Eternal for like what it was. I mean, it's like it didn't try to be this groundbreaking thing though. It was just like fucking kill. It's just more arena shooting, and that's what it needs to be. Yeah, definitely.
But I think the game's like a 6 or 7 out of 10, maybe something like that.
I think it's probably a 7 for me, something like that. Definitely. I guess this is kind of a review of the game as well, isn't it? At the same time as being.
I mean, it kind of has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're talking about it, so.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people have rose-tinted glasses with Last of Us 1.
Say again.
Like a lot of people have like rose-tinted glasses when looking at Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah.
Like it's a great fucking game. Don't get me wrong, but it's not perfect, is it?
Every game
story-wise, it's perfect.
Has its issues, and I don't know. A game can always be better than it is, but Last of Us 1 was just in terms of story and the characters, and
The
pacing, that was, again, like I said, it's masterclass, that was, and that's why I don't think Last of Us 2 was. I didn't think Last of Us 2 was going to beat it in terms of story.
Oh, it's always harder with the second one, isn't it?
I never thought that was going to happen. But definitely, you know.
Which soundtrack do you prefer? 1 or 2?
Oh, that's difficult.
Because in 2 you've got the guitar sections, and they're so good.
I love the songs, and
Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson do such a good job of actually singing. They're so talented, honestly.
Literally, they play instruments, they voice
act. Fucking Pearl
Jam,
yeah.
I remember in one of the that podcast that we were talking about earlier, where it was like Neil Druckmann and Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker in the background of Ashley Johnson. So it looked like a workbench or something like that. And a comment said she's going to be working on her guns after this. Like, literally, it looked just like a workbench out of Last of Us 2. I thought it was cool. But it's a hell of a game, isn't it, though, in terms of controversy. I mean, I'm trying to think of other games that had this much. I mean, Anthem, but that was like not controversy because of conflicting opinions. That was controversy because it was bad. Yeah, that was a different type of controversy. That was
I mean, I think the only like kind of real games you can really maybe think of is 76, but then again that's just bad as well.
Yeah.
I think in terms of likability and not likability, maybe some of the newer Call of Duty installments.
Yeah.
When they started to change things up a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mixed opinions on that.
I mean, there's always going to be people who love the old cards, people who prefer the jump, like, the jump pack, Call of Duties. They'll prefer World War II. I mean, there's so many different kind of people who like different time periods and stuff. It'll always be complex in that regard. But what would you think if they announced The Last of Us Part 3?
I would be excited for it because I want to see where they would take it.
Yeah. Do you think they should do like a split story between Abby and Ellie again, or between two characters, or do you think it should just be Ellie?
See, because you want to know what Abby does, because she's broke. She's pretty much bald. She's lost all her hair. She's lost all those muscle gains, and she's broken, just as broken as Ellie. She's lost just as much. She lost Owen. She lost Mel. She lost Yara. And Ellie also lost everyone. She left Dina, you know.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that kind of annoyed me when Tommy was like, "Oh, the revenge isn't worth it," and then he's like, "You're just sitting up here all cozy," and it's just like, make up your mind what you want her to do. You can't see like flip flops in his opinion. I feel like.
Well, in the beginning he says that though. I'm assuming you were on about the beginning when he says it's not worth going after them.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, you need to get revenge for Joel."
I think he was saying. I think at the beginning he was saying that to try and keep Ellie safe for Joel's, like in the memory of Joel sort of thing. So then he could sneak off without her chasing him. But then she chased him anyway. So it was just his vain attempt to try and stop her to follow him.
Then she realized anyway.
That's what I mean though. It's like people cherry pick these moments in the story, but a lot of it does have reason. Like when Ellie finally lets Abby go and they drive away on the boat or whatever.
That's the point of closure for her. Yeah,
and it does the flashback of, the final words between her and Joel where I can I'm not sure if I can forgive you, but I'll try.
And he's like, yeah, that scene is so good.
It's such a good scene, and it's like I feel like that definitely explains a lot of where she's coming from when stopping to try
and get revenge,
and the point of forgiveness as well. Try and forgive Abby for what she did, because from Abby's perspective, I agree. I don't blame her for what she did to Joel.
Eye for an eye, isn't it?
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Exactly. I mean, what would you do if you were like 16, you found out one of your parents was killed by somebody, like stabbed in the throat by a scalpel or something like that, when trying to save the human race? I mean, what do you like?
You would react just as much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like if you think, I think a lot of the situations in this game in terms of the revenge, people saying it's way too much revenge, and like she wouldn't do that just for the sake of revenge. Put yourself in the situation. Think about what you would do in that situation, and like realistically look at what you do in that situation. Would you? Would you just let them walk and just go scot-free sort of thing and never? It's. I
think that's where one of the themes comes in. Like the whole point of going out for revenge, and sort of put everyone else that you like, you love at risk, didn't they? Because everyone else ended up either dying or leaving around them. So
yeah, and
it sort of consumed them.
I definitely think it, like, Ellie tried to, because she says at the beginning, right after, like, the next day after Joel dies or whatever, saying that Joel would already be on his way to Seattle if it was me or you, to Tommy. And
yeah, but
I think she's
trying characters though, isn't they?
Yeah, I think she was trying to, like, I think it's kind of cute in a way and good storytelling that she just tries to do what Joel would do.
Yeah.
And I think through it, she kind of finds herself a bit in it as well. It kind of develops her own character because she was just trying to do what Joel would do in the situation,
rather than what she would do.
What she would do, yeah. And, like, I don't be wrong, I definitely think she'd go to Seattle regardless.
Oh yeah, because it's definitely, they're basically father and daughter, ain't they?
But there's those nuances that I think she finds throughout the story, which I find interesting. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to mention about the game. I can't think of anything.
I mean,
we talked about a lot.
I think there is, like, a lot you can probably still cover.
Yeah. I feel like we are missing. We're missing something.
I mean, Abby's sort of closure doesn't really come from killing Joel, does it? It comes from saving Lev and Yara. It's one big thing I realized.
Yeah. She says something, doesn't she, in that vein, saying guilt. She felt guilty or something like that.
Well, she has another flashback where she sees Lev and Yara being hung. Yeah. And after she saves them, she actually sees her dad alive in the flashback.
Yeah.
And I thought those were done really good.
Trying to follow her father and trying to save lives rather than take him, sort of thing. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where maybe, of course, we talked about putting Abby's portion at the start. Would have really helped with that relationship between Abby and her father.
Yeah. I definitely think many of the story beats could have been restructured in terms of the flashbacks. I think it definitely killed a lot of the energy and the momentum of the story when every time it went to a flashback.
The only one I really did like was Museum. That one was fucking good.
Yeah, I think universally everyone loved that scene.
I think everyone just loved when Joel and Ellie on the screen together.
yeah, literally.
Everyone's like, "Give me more! The one thing I really, that a lot of people did bring up that I didn't like was the final scene. When they're talking.
Yeah.
People saying, "Oh, Joel would have said more about what he did," and I was just like, "Don't think he really would have." Honestly,
he's a closed-off guy. Like, he's not. He doesn't like boast about like killing loads of people and like stuff like that. He's not that kind of person.
I see this image, and it takes up the bit where he says, "Lord, give me a second chance to do it all again," and it puts another one underneath it. It was like edited text or someone being like, the cure wouldn't have happened. It definitely wouldn't have happened. You could have died. They could use it as a weapon, and people like typing all this random shit on it, and I just found it so funny.
And that's it. Like, I think again, it goes back to it being Neil Druckmann's baby. Is that whenever he got the chance for Ellie and Joel to be in the same scene together, they were done masterfully. Like, all of the scenes between.
10 out of 10.
I think they were all fantastic, and I think. Again, it's the same guy who killed Joel. It's like, it's not these two different people. This like evil demonic person. People say, like, because everyone loves the scenes between Joel and Ellie. And
yeah.
It's the same guy. It's the same story. It's the same game. Like, I don't know. He does it, and you can tell he could have easily cashed in and made a game all about Joel and Ellie again.
Yeah,
and he could have made so much more. Like, so he could have got so much more hype around the game. And
I'll give him. He has a massive set of balls to do what he did.
Yeah, exactly. He went ambitious, and he didn't do the typical route of more of the same. He tried to do something completely different, and we've never really seen a game be done where our most loved protagonist gets killed, and then you have to play as the person in that way. Then have to play as the person who killed him, and this like kind of watching this story from two sides and two completely different moral viewpoints, and I find it very interesting in terms of like what they tried to pull off and achieve.
The biggest question people say with that is, did it pay off? Did it work? And I think that's up to the way I look at games. It's art. Gaming is art.
Yeah,
definitely. It's subjective. It's how you how you want to view it. You know, is it perfect? This one wasn't perfect. It's not a 10 out of 10, and I think some people think it is, and that's fine. Honestly, again, it's a game. Yeah, it's a fucking game,
and everyone has their opinion, and everyone, I can see where people are coming from negative reviews. I can see where people are coming from positive reviews. There's a lot with this game in terms of what's right, what's wrong, and I'm not saying that I'm the advocate for what is right and wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, actually, wait, before I go on to that point, here's a question for you. When you knew the Joel death scene was coming up, did you skip it, or did you watch it?
No, I watched it.
Fuck, man, I couldn't watch it.
Really? I was rough. I was tearing up when I was watching it. I did not like it.
It is hard. It's brutal, and oh man, it was hard. I was like, I couldn't watch it. No. Yeah. But when I've gone back and watched other people's reviews, and it's in there, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta watch this now.
I think if I was to write that scene in terms of how Joel died, I get the whole thing of, it's like Game of Thrones and like other TV shows and films where, and I mean, I think that says a lot to it, that we're comparing it to movie standard stuff.
Yeah, because it almost feels like a movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it could easily be its own film.
Well, HBO are doing
a Last of Us, yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
I think if I was to write the death scene, I get it, it's like a cruel world, people die out of nowhere and shit happens, but honestly, I do think Joel deserved a more heroic death. Like, I think that while you want to show your world is gritty, like unforgiving, and people die out of nowhere, I do think there's very rarely still should be these great moments for great characters like Joel. And like, I mean, the way he died, I mean, it's said and done. That's the way the story went, and I can't change that. And I don't mind it now. I think it fit in with the story.
Yeah, do you actually think he does deserve a better death for what he did, though? Because he killed a lot of people.
Well, yeah. Innocent. I think that's what the game tries to get out of people. They want to be like, well, did he do the right thing, or did he deserve worse, or did he deserve better? And I think this game definitely tries to challenge your morals in the situation. Yeah. In this situation, I think that's so interesting for a game. I've never had a game that's made me feel more guilty for thinking Joel should have got off lighter.
Well,
or in a sense, it's really
what Joel does in part 1 is he gives the Ellie the opportunity to be happy and live a good life.
Yeah,
he's already accepted the fact that she'll hate him if she ever finds out.
Yeah,
and he could potentially just die at any point. I think he's come to the point of accepting that he's done lots of shitty things, but he's lost so much to the point where I think he doesn't want to lose anymore.
Yeah.
Because Sarah died, and
definitely.
Henry died along the way. That good character we met. What happened to Bill? I want to know if Bill is still around.
He'll turn up.
Where is Bill?
He'll turn up. In
part 3 for Ellie when she's got no fingers now.
Oh, DLC with Bill in it, actually.
Yeah.
Still in the town.
He's still in the town. Being like batshit crazy, traps everywhere.
I've watched a lot of the mocap of The Last of Us 1, and some of it is impressive.
It's really good for a game that came out on the PS3. Like, fuck, it's good, man.
Have you seen the mocap video where they just start singing in the scene where he picks up Ellie from the table? They break into opera like mid scene.
I think I have seen that. Yeah,
it's so funny. And everyone goes with it straight faced. Everyone somehow just starts singing an opera, like doing this sort of like pantomime like version of like Joel saving Ellie. It's hilarious.
I mean, they have a lot of fun making these games. You give them that, and they made it. They put a lot of love into them.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. Like, it wasn't like rushed.
No, it was like you said in the text. It was a labor of love for sure on Neil Druckmann's
Did you run into any bugs when you played? Like, any issues with the game at all? Like,
I never had one bug the entire time.
I
had a really clean
no one's really talked about that either. I think some people said like they've had minor bugs.
Yeah,
but I think I want maybe one dead body where he just started like morphing and moving around in weird ways on the floor.
Yeah,
it was kind of funny, but
I think this game brought so much emotion in people that I have never seen a game where they've accidentally fallen from a height playing as Abby or as a character, and everyone went, and that's the game, folks. Everyone did that joke. Literally every YouTuber streamer I've watched, people fell purposely off a thing, and then they were like, it's the end of the game, guys, time to turn. Everyone did that joke, I swear to God.
Oh, I'll be honest, I accidentally did jump off the edge. I thought I had to go that way, and I jumped, and I was like, oh shit, I just fell off the map by accident.
I did it on quite at the beginning of Abby's, on the first day of Abby's thing, where she has to climb up on a rope, and there's like that square hole in the roof in the store when he's with Melanie. And I thought, I was like, oh, she's got to jump down it, and it just splattered.
It's a big drop, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big drop.
Oh, I saw a thing, and it was a streamer who's like, world record, Last of Us 2, good ending, and he just ends it when he kills himself as Abby.
Oh my, yeah. So
he's like 15 minutes, we got the world record.
Literally everyone did that joke sort of thing, and I think it shows how if it was structured differently, I think a lot of people wouldn't have been doing that. So would have sympathized with Abby a bit more.
I will say, if you're one of the motherfuckers who told Laura Bailey to kill herself, fuck you, honestly.
Yeah, honestly. How shitty of a human being do you need to be to go and tell
it doesn't need to go
actors
that far.
Who are just doing their job to go and no one ever deserves that.
Even giving Neil shit for what happened is just not really needed.
The thing is though, I think it's his story. He can do what he wants with it. You literally.
I will say, sorry. The one shitty thing he did do was the whole copy strike claiming.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of shitty.
When Sony went absolutely off the rails
and
started flagging literally everything.
Even with no screenshots or anything, even just talk about it. Flag.
I thought about that because I did a trailer reaction to the story trailer of The Last of Us 2. And
did you?
I was actually kind of I was
skeptical
how far are they going with the striking, because I didn't want it to happen. And I'm a tiny YouTuber, so it's in terms, I was thinking, well, are they going that far with it? Because that would be so stupid if they did that to
be honest, their PR team wasn't that bad. I mean, if you look at Fallout 76, they were fucking refusing refunds.
Yeah.
At least it didn't come to that.
Last of Us Part 2?
I don't know. Did they refuse refunds?
I feel like I heard something about them refusing refunds, but
I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it. There might be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably where I should have done my research. Because I didn't really hear too much other than the whole striking thing being a real issue. Other than that, I think they just sort of critiqued the game then, which they should have done instead. But
yeah, definitely, yeah.
I mean, when it did start to get out of hand with all the... I was looking at Neil Druckmann's replies on Twitter with any tweet he made. And oh my God, they were crazy, man. There was just tweet after tweet. Yeah. Even the diehard fans were just then attacking the people who didn't like it, and it's just I've never seen something so toxic.
And it's just it literally just split the fan base in two.
It really did show, didn't it?
This whole
it showed thing. The people who can actually review it, the people who just fucking hate it, the people that just fucking love it for what it is.
Yeah, and then there's the people who, like us, who just try to look at it from all angles and try and look for this sort of
an unbiased view, I guess.
Yeah, an unbiased view, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I said when I did that trailer reaction, I said, well, people are saying, oh my God, with the I said, with the leaks and everything, people are gonna already saying it's trash and stuff, and the game hasn't even come out and stuff like that. And I said, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. It's done at this point. You just got to kind of go in open-minded with it and just stop holding the grudge that they killed Joel against.
Well, in that trailer reaction, doesn't it have Joel replace Jesse in the story scenes?
That actually is something I never agreed with. Misleading marketing and making us think that we were going to see more Joel. And so I seen a video of somebody talking about that, and I think definitely I've seen it on one case before, and there was another one I can't remember now, but with Thor Ragnarok, spoilers for Thor Ragnarok, by the way, in the trailer, Thor, Thor loses his eye in the film. in the trailer, in the bit in the film where he has only one eye, in the trailer it shows that he's got two eyes, and little things like that. That is totally fine. Like, that didn't spoil. I didn't like go into Thor around thinking he only has one fucking eye now. Are you kidding me? I thought he was gonna have two. Like, nobody cares about that sort of thing. But when you think the most beloved character, the character that everyone's been waiting to see, they trick you into thinking he's gonna be in like the game, and it's gonna be this amazing sort of to see more of the character develop, and then you don't get it.
Really loves,
and then they mislead you, and it doesn't happen. It's like,
it is a real kick in the balls, man.
I don't agree with that. That was one of the marketing moves that I think was really I think what's the term, something expectations, redirecting expectations or something like that. Something that, and trying to do it correctly, like people thought they were going to get one thing, and it's like, surprise, we got this like coming out of nowhere now.
That's the whole like shock factor. That
subverting expectations. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like some films do it. Some films do it too much. Some games do it too much, and like you need to be very careful with subverting expectations. Like Avengers, Avengers Endgame. Again, spoilers for Avengers Endgame. Didn't
they do it?
Yeah, because Thanos gets killed at the beginning, and it's like that was clever for the plot, though. That was like, because you thought, oh, there's gonna be this final fight against Thanos at the end of Avengers Endgame, and then he gets murdered right off, and that was it done correctly. And I think one film that we're not, obviously this isn't the topic for today, but an example of subverting expectations too much just for the sake of doing it to try and create a good story was The Last Jedi. They just constantly subverted expectations over and over again.
Brian Johnson was like, hold my beer.
Yeah, and like I think it ruined some aspects of the film for me for sure. But regardless, that's not the topic. But
Last Jedi is a whole different thing in itself, man. That film fucking bores my blood, honestly.
Talking about controversy, that might be a topic for another podcast in the future.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah,
I feel like this game tries to subvert your expectation a bit too much as well.
Yeah, I think with Abby and stuff like that, and look, she's actually good. She's a decent human being. She's
just
friends.
as shitty as anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's the funny thing. It's like they try to pull you in the direction of like, oh, Abby's actually a decent. She's not just this shitty person who beats people's heads in with clubs and stuff like that. She's actually like got a, she's actually a character.
She has a humanity side.
Yeah, but then there's other points of the game which try to make you think she's just as shitty as everyone else. And I feel like they were a bit confused in that regard. They were trying to make you think like,
it felt like someone else was taken over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And I think while overall her story arc and her character was done well, there were points where it was like they were trying to show her that she's a shitty person, but they were also trying to show that she's actually a good person. And I mean,
it was constantly flip-flopping way too much, wasn't it?
And I guess this actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess it's kind of realistic because every person has a shitty side, every person has a good side, and I mean, they come out in different points. So I guess that's realistic in a sense.
Then what would you say Joel is? Would you say Joel is pure shit because he just kills for survival?
I think everyone's got a grey area in it. Like, no person. I don't believe anything in this world is just this, just that. There is so much grey area with everything.
It's not just black and white.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Joel ultimately had good intentions, and I think in the end he was like a good man sort of thing, because he did the shitty things he did for Ellie, and he ultimately did that out of just like love for Ellie and for like what I think there was part of his daughter that played into that as well. And honestly, like, I can't say that I wouldn't do what Joel did in his stead, sort of thing, and you can't say, that's a shitty person, no one would ever do that. It's a very relatable thing what he does, if that makes sense.
No, like, you would do, if you were in like his shoes, would you do the same kind of thing, is what you mean, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's relatable. It's a very human reaction that he has. It's not like out of the blue.
Survival is always going to take over.
Yeah. I feel
it's
like
just human instincts.
People saying like, Ellie's like gone completely fucking crazy. She's just killed everyone in Seattle, sort of thing.
Could you blame her though?
Well, I find that she often gets attacked a lot first anyway in the game.
Yeah, it's self-defense, man.
If you got shot at in the middle, or like, you know, and like all Scars came like whistling and shooting arrows at you, wouldn't you try to kill them before they like gutted you and hung you? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no.
And the wolves like ambush her, like her horse gets fucking blown up and then they shoot the horse in the head. And
yeah, fuck those guys for doing that, honestly.
And like, oh god.
But then I think
that was a bit
she's like that because yeah,
the dog killing in the game was a bit controversy.
Whoa, that was fucking hell.
I
was like, bro, can I stop killing so many dogs now? Like, chill.
I think I was permanently scarred when I killed the dog with the machete. The poor howling of that fucking creature was like, haunt me in my dreams.
Paused the game, went downstairs, and just saw my dog. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was thinking, I just like looked at my dog and I just had flashbacks to me just shoving a machete inside the dog in the game. I was thinking,
it's like,
I'm a monster. Literally, like, I actually know what I did that really, like, I had to pause the game and take a second. Was there was one of the people like with a dog on a lead kind of just walking around, and I didn't see the dog. It was in tall grass, and I threw a Molotov at the guy and I burned the dog alive. And I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. And I paused it, saved it, closed the game, and went off for a couple of hours because I just couldn't live with myself after that.
Bro, I was in one of the sections. I think it's day 2, and it's hard to like sort of say what part it is because you're in, you know, sort of like the housing area, if that helps to sort of. And it's one of the sections where you've just got the bow, and you go out. You know when you got to have that mini boss fight with that one zombie, and you get the bow from him.
Oh yes, yeah, I know.
So it's after that bit, and it's got that sort of enemy encampment. I guess
it's Hillcrest. That's it in the town.
Yeah, I think it is Hillcrest. I got into the building, like the tallest house where you put the upstairs.
Yeah,
I gotta say the interior design on the houses as well is so good. Like, there's so many different, like cracks and stuff.
Game and level design is incredible. I think.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, I put bombs on 2 of the doors.
Oh no!
And then in comes like these different, you know, all the enemies are coming in. They're like, "Fuck, they got Johnny," or whatever. They call each other.
Yeah. They just start screaming. Yeah, like...
And then out of nowhere, this dog and guy come right in and just boom, no hits. I was like, "Oh my fuck!" This is people. Honestly, the amount of bodies at the bottom of those stairs at the end of it was insane.
Yeah, the noises they did for the dogs were horrific.
Because some of the guys just run at me with their melee weapons. I'm just there with a shotgun. I just yeah. Mate, it's gruesome, isn't it? It is so gruesome.
If you watch Tio's Last of Us 2 video, he accidentally kills so many dogs. He keeps putting mines down, and dogs just run into them all the time.
That's what happened with me. One thing
so
I found,
funny.
You know when you on day 1 where you run into the subway?
Yes, yeah, that was cool. I love that bit.
Yeah, that bit is so good. Like it felt like Metro.
Yeah.
And you've got the clickers and the soldiers in there. I threw a bottle to get the clickers alert, and they just all sprinted at the soldiers and just ate them. It felt so shit.
Oh, I did the same thing. I was like, oh, let's see what fucking happens here if I just cause a mass fight.
Full on just eat it. I was like, oh my god, what is going on?
Yeah. What I found interesting in some of the game design is that you could like skip all the enemies in a section and just go through.
Like, you can stealth it.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole thing, couldn't you?
Like the bit where you're chasing Nora through the hospital and everyone, and you you go into that spore bit and she runs off, and then there's the clickers and the soldiers in that little room, and then you can actually just walk up to the door and go out and let them deal with themselves, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, you can do that in Last of Us 1. You can sort of sprint through sections and ignore. I was playing last night because I'm doing another New Game Plus run.
Yeah.
And you can just sprint through whole sections without killing a single person.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I like that. It's like natural. Like in the situation, I try and just run out without trying to like.
It's kind of funny
cause
sprinting
conflict
past everybody. They're just like, what the fuck is he doing?
Like,
oh, here's one thing I wanted to ask you actually.
Yeah, go on.
The Rat King. How did you find that? The boss fight as Abby.
I felt. And while I thought I was thinking, holy fuck, this is really intimidating and sort of thing, I was scared by the goddamn thing. But I thought that it oddly felt misplaced for the Last of Us series in terms of like bloaters. Like, I liked the Rat King and I enjoyed the fight for what it was with the gameplay and everything, but I felt it almost a bit unnecessary to throw in like a boss like that. Like, I get there needed to be this sort of kind of like finality to, and while that's not the end of even the end of the game, but I thought, and I get like there's bloater boss fights and stuff, but that was like already established, and then like I felt like they just, I don't know, it makes sense why it's there and stuff like that, and like I said, I enjoy it, but
you feel like it should just be standard infected in a world like that, do you?
Yeah, I don't feel like there should be like these continuous crazy mutations where it starts to get a bit like, you know.
I don't know. I feel like
I enjoyed it, but it's like, again,
it needed more infected types, I think.
Yeah, Last of Us for me as a series is not a game about bosses, so I don't know. It felt weird to me.
So not having bosses then. Maybe just having new types. Would that be better?
Yeah, like you know, they added new type and then the Shamblers and those Stalkers and stuff like that. I thought they were great additions.
The Stalkers were already in Last of Us 1, weren't they?
Were they?
Were they in Last of Us 1, Stalkers?
I don't think they were.
I thought the only new infected type was the Shamblers.
Oh, I thought it was a Stalker. Oh.
I think the Stalkers are in Last of Us 1 as well.
Well, you're playing through it again, so you'll find out soon.
Yeah.
But I thought, regardless of what's new, I thought all the new additions were great to the infected roster. They kind of made sense, and they weren't like...
They look great as well. They look great.
Yeah. And
they're just as terrifying.
Gross as well, the Shamblers. They're fucking disgusting to look at.
And the clickers, that noise goes through me every time.
Yeah, literally. They're one of the most well-designed, like, kind of zombie type things, you know what I mean?
One thing I wish they actually did was, like, another David sort of thing. Like, introduce, like, a villain in that way.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to show, like, the human,
because Last of Us 1 doesn't really have a villain, does it? Like, the whole game, you just sort of play through it and just fight whoever you fight.
Yeah, there's no...
But when David came into it, it was like, okay, this is good. Like,
yeah, I like it when they bring, like, a bad guy in and they make him a really interesting character, and then you can be like, it's really interesting to see what this guy will do in the situation. Like, the moment in The Last of Us 1 where he's like, you know, there was this crazy man traveling with a little girl, and then he kind of just slowly looks at Ellie. I was like, oh! Like, I love shit like that.
The first time I played that, you know, because you come into him and you think, I don't know if I can trust you.
Yeah, you're really like, is he good? He seems okay. Like, at points, like...
And you fight with him, and you're like, okay, this guy's kind of cool. And then he does that, and you're like...
He's a crazy man traveling with a little girl.
I can't do Nolan North.
I mean, I don't think that was it, but, like, regardless...
It was quite close, to be fair. That was quite good. Wasn't bad.
Yeah, like, oh my god, like, it's just...
This game
he creeps me out. Like, he's like tiny little pieces. Like, oh my god, it's horrific. I can't stand that character. I think he's amazing though. Like, that character.
I've watched them like record that, you know, the motion capture. Yeah, and it's a really good scene, to be fair. I really did like it.
Yeah,
it's funny when you see the motion capture and what they use as props, can then see what it looks like in real game. It's
Troy Baker said in a thing to Nolan North. There was an interview with both of them, and he said, because they've done so many projects together with Uncharted and things like that.
Yeah,
and he said to him, that is like one of the few times where I saw you transform into like a different person when you were playing as David.
Literally.
Did you know the guy who was sat in the chair in the torture scene
is Nolan North
as well? I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that voice he does is also a voice they use in Fallout New Vegas. It's one of like the many NPC voices they use.
What Nolan North was?
Yeah, I recognize that voice is the voice they use for some of the NPCs, and
you know how I'm playing Fallout New Vegas right now, actually. So after,
because you know how some of the in Bethesda games, many of the NPCs may have different names, but they sort of
all have the same
repeat
voice.
Same voice.
Thing, yeah.
Some repeat
Skyrim.
Same voices.
I noticed that a lot.
Yeah, he is one of the voices in New Vegas.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
I don't know which character to tell you to look out for because there's of course so fucking many.
Yeah,
but he is in there. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
But I could be mistaken.
You have to keep an eye out for that. I'm trying to think.
Should we wrap
it up?
Let's go on to so many different topics as well.
Well, it's just
went on.
like this is a I don't know. I think I'll call this series "Let's Discuss" or something like that, and then do
that
like
might be
The
a good
Last of
one.
Us Part 2, and then it'll change. So, I'm not sure if we haven't decided whether this is going to be a weekly thing or a monthly thing, and we're also planning on discussing movies as well, and like I guess series of films.
Yeah.
Um,
Any form of media.
a lot of different forms of media. There might be times where we don't want to discuss, like we don't have anything to discuss in terms of just a game by itself. So we might talk about
give us more controversy.
Yeah, like if there's no major controversy that we can just sit here and chat when we've been sat for an hour.
Does it really?
Yeah, exactly. No, it doesn't. It's not always going to be, but. I mean, we've been sat here talking about an hour and 15 minutes about The Last of Us 2's like controversy and stuff.
Oh,
like
really?
That. And well, at least for the bits that was before we started recording included as well when we were talking. But
I mean, yeah, there was probably some things we did miss or didn't really touch upon too much. But that happens. We're just going off the cuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally. I think these will be
natural.
more organic, just naturally talking and discussing about different points, rather than this scripted sort of thing. We might have like bullet point on general things we want to talk about.
Yeah, that's what I did. I had my laptop up.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Just different. I mean, I had Joel dies. Enough said.
Yeah.
I wrote like gameplay 10 out of 10, music 10 out of 10, guitar parts 10 out of
10. Yeah, Johnny Cash 10 out of 10.
But have you seen the people make like
doing actual covers,
remake songs? Yeah, it's insane. Like do like Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff.
Yeah, it's impressive.
I'm just there like strumming random chords. I'm like just singing away.
Yeah.
When Angry Joe does it, it's quite funny. To be fair, I will say.
Yeah.
It's like I fucking hate this game.
Yeah.
Or the one skit he did with he's like, "Oh, Abby, you're gonna need this too," and gives him like a golf club.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then like there's that stupid like freaking wig that they got on Alex as well, the blonde braided ponytail.
I know we're gonna wrap it up, but the one point he makes that Ellie doesn't get any good weaponry, and I don't think I agree.
No, I love Ellie's weapons. I enjoyed Ellie's weapons more than I did Abby's.
I know Abby gets.
For me personally,
she gets a shotgun. She gets the double barrel shotgun, a hunting pistol, a crossbow. Does she get a flamethrower?
Yes, she does. Yeah.
Flamethrower. Yeah, she has. Yeah. And then she gets like another pistol, and she has like her regular starting pistol and the semi-auto rifle too.
And the hunting pistol.
Ellie gets the fully automatic SMG at the end, doesn't she, as well?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed like Ellie's. I like both of their weaponry, and Ellie.
It's different gameplay, so like I like when you play them both. So I like they have different weapon styles.
Yeah.
Choice of weapons. Anyway.
Yeah, well, we'll wrap it up here. That was I think it was very fruitful. I think we definitely did a good job on discussing the game, and
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we never normally, because of COVID and all that, we haven't really had the opportunity to just sit down and have a chat about games and shit like that, and
open mic.
talking about just random stuff. So it's been good, and so like I said, guys, I'm not sure if it'll be a weekly or monthly thing.
We'll try and make it
maybe every other week, every 2 weeks, something like that. So it kind of gives a bit of breathing room for us to come up with something to talk about.
Yeah, we need something to talk about.
And I mean, if we're doing movies and games, maybe we'll like do it interchangeably. So like, do like talk about games 2 weeks later, talk about films 2 weeks later, talk about games. Just switch it between. In terms of films, I don't know what we talk about, but like
anything that's out.
Yeah,
I mean that new Tenet film with Christopher Nolan, that looks really good.
Yeah, that we'll definitely be talking about that one, I'm sure. But
that comes out tomorrow, actually.
Does it?
It comes out tomorrow, yeah.
Oh shit! I thought it was like open. Nowhere near coming out. Okay, never mind.
No, it comes out tomorrow, and Cineworld is open now as well.
I haven't watched the trailers on that, so I haven't.
Oh, dude, you gotta go. It's basically.
I purposely didn't because I knew Christopher Nolan's films are going to be incredible. But
people say it's like a sequel to Inception, so
yeah. Oh, cool. Right, so yeah, we these Let's Discusses are going to be anything from controversial games to new games announced. Like I don't know, maybe we could talk about in the future like the new Suicide Squad game coming out. The Batman Arkham Knights game coming out. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Cold War.
Call of Duty Cold War. Literally, we'll talk about games coming out, game controversies. Maybe talk about old games to reminisce a bit and talk about what we loved about those old games. I mean, we'll definitely be doing that at some point, I'm sure. In terms of movies, we'll probably be talking about like finished series of films, new films coming out, ones we've recently seen. Crap. You got the gist. So, and these are probably, when we talk about specific games, they'll probably be like type reviews as well. At the same, I mean, you can't help it. When you talk about a game as in depth as we did today, you can't help but give your opinion on it.
You've got to touch on what you liked about it.
Yeah, to kind of make it a bit more interesting. So, yeah, anyway, guys, thank you all for watching and tuning in for the first podcast, I guess, type thing. And we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.